Art Laffer, he's another guy I could see. You know, he could get over $1.3 billion and go to work the next day and talk about how outrageous the taxes are and how he's only getting half that. He joins us to talk about that. You know, we forget, don't we, that, you know, Uncle Sam does okay with these lotteries, doesn't he?
He does. He does very well.
So I'm just wondering now, you know, a lot of revenues coming into Washington, but we're seeing now with these latest deficit figures on the month that we're still spending more. The Republican Congress wants to slow or stop that process. Are we going to see more of this, more, you know, problems with the debt limit, getting that raised, tying it to this spending, more of a mess, in other words?
Well, let me just say that every one of your people and your staff, Neil, have told me that when they got the job with you, they hit the jackpot. So, you know, I don't think your people are not going to come in. I think they are going to come in.
Well played.
Thank you. How did I do that? Didn't I do that
Excellent.
nicely?
You did. You most certainly did.
When you look at the budget numbers, yeah, I think this new Congress, at least so far, I'm much more optimistic than I was a while ago on them controlling spending. The deficit numbers are still there. The national debt is rising as we speak, and all of that is still a problem. But I think the election that went through and took 15 rounds before McCarthy got the head,
right,
with the people making the concessions to the rest of it. So it's the people's house. You can vote the way you feel rather than having some dictatorial monster telling you how to vote. I think that will inure very much to our benefit going forward, and I'm mildly optimistic about this Congress with the McCarthy and the Republicans in control.
The reason why,
but that debt is rising, and
Art,
we've got to stop. We've got to bring that spending down.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped on you there. Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, sent a letter apparently to the congressional leadership on the debt limit, saying that once the statutory limit is reached, Treasury will need to start taking certain extraordinary measures to prevent the U.S. from defaulting. She says it's unlikely that cash and extraordinary measures to avoid hitting the debt limit will be exhausted before early June. In other words, once this happens, and it seems like the target date is January 19th, if we don't do something soon at or around that time, kablooey. What do we do?
Well, I think the kablooey is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it is a very serious issue that we're talking about here. And what I think is the administration should negotiate very seriously with the House on what things they can be brought under control in exchange for raising the debt limit. I mean, this is a matter of governance by both parties now, and they should sit there and do a give and take as to what they would take to raise the debt limit. How long do you want to have that debt limit increase done? And all of that should be on the table. And I think the House should make it very clear we want to bring down spending, and especially that number on the 87,000 new IRS agents. That's just unwarranted. That's a huge incursion into the economy, and it makes no sense. I mean, it's anti-growth, it's anti-everything. So, and I think it's politically very good for the House to do that. So I hope they can make a list of things they want to get from the administration, and the administration does the same thing in return, and then negotiate in good faith and get us a good debt ceiling limit.
All right, you know that they come back, that is Democrats that say that 80-some-odd thousand you referred to, more than half of that's attrition, and they're not all IRS agents. Be that as it may, I am curious what you make of this new initiative on the part of the new Congress to attach the possibility and the negotiating tactic of a government shutdown to get their way on spending and to deal with this in debt limit talks. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I do. But, you know, there's so many variables in here, too, Neil. For example, how long you're going to raise the debt ceiling for.
Right.
You know, will it be for 5 years by a huge amount, or will it be for 6 months? Or, you know, how many times can you go back and get a bite out of this apple? But this is a negotiating issue. It is a very serious thing that the House has to raise that debt ceiling limit. And I think it's very serious for the administration. And I think the scare tactics of saying everything goes kaplooey. I remember when Douglas Dillon talked about the debt ceiling with John F. Kennedy. And, you know, if I remember correctly, Douglas Dillon thought that the debt obligations would fall to him personally afterwards. And he said, Mr. President, I could hold back the scourge for about 3 minutes because he was a very wealthy man.
Yeah.
But, you know, this has been going on for a long time, and it should be a give and take, and it should be a negotiation. And this is one thing the House does have authority over.
Yeah, he was a wealthy man, but I think John F. Kennedy was wealthier. So maybe they thought between the two of them they could They could settle it.
Yeah, but the liability didn't fall on Kennedy. It
Oh,
fell
you're
on the
exactly
Secretary of the
right.
Treasury,
You're exactly
as I
right.
remember the story. I don't know if it's really true, but it's sort of cool. These have great stories. I have never seen the U.S. blow up. It's never happened.
Right.
The threats have always been there, and I think the threats are the real problem, much more than negotiating and getting a good debt ceiling limit raised and do it correctly and look at the priorities of both groups.
Yeah, and keep our reputation as at least a good financial bet in the world. Always great seeing you, my friend. Art Laffer, the former Reagan
And if I
economic...
worked for you, I'd show up tomorrow even if I won twice as much.
You know, I could see you doing that. You know, you're that loyal. All right.
I could. I'd love. It would be fun to win.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, well, that is an understatement. Yeah, someone's going to win this one. Someone will win it. So I know the odds are daunting, and you know them better than I, but someone's going to win it.